what I'm about to say kind of goes against what Drew said about your goals need to be Grizzlies.
That's always the gold standard for yourself, doing the best you can with what you have.
The carrot on the stick is right in front of you, so you chase it, versus the carrot on the stick is a mile away, so you can't even see it. So I think what I'm about to say kind of goes against what Drew said about your goals need to be Grizzlies or whatever.
Yeah, come on, bring it.
So I they've shown in just as an example, like they've shown in kids in grade school that if you, like for example, if you were to give them math problems, let's say we're talking about a group of third graders. If you give them sixth grade level math problems, they're going to have a really hard time doing them. And it's going to be so far out of their skill range that they're just going to kind of give up. And they're not really going to progress because you've given them something that's too far out of their skill range. If you give them first grade level math problems, it's so easy for them that they're not really learning anything additional. Like they've already mastered that. They don't need to keep doing first grade level math problems. They've got that covered. What they need is third grade level math problems, which is at an adequate level to challenge them without being so challenging that they kind of mentally give up. And I think the same thing can be applied to goals. If your goal is so lofty and out there that you don't even know where to start, like let's say you're like, yeah, I'm going to win the Tour de France. It's such a lofty goal that it's just kind of, well, not knowing where to start is one thing, but also, I mean, it's something that's so unrealistic that it's a much easier goal to just give up or put on the back burner. Whereas if you have a goal that is challenging, but still within reach, I think that's the best kind of goal to have. Like, it's like the carrot on the stick is right in front of you, so you chase it, versus the carrot on the stick is a mile away, so you can't even see it.
No, I agree with that. You pretty much described the flow state chart. Like, to be in flow state, your skill level has to be, like, you have to be at the right skill level and the right challenge level to be in the flow state. Like, if there's too much challenge, you'll give up. If there's not enough challenge and you're over skilled for it, then it's going to be too easy, and you want that optimal flow state. They also did, this reminded me of a study that I was reading about a few months ago. They did this study, and it's somewhat related, where there were all these applicants for a grant for some kind of career, what's the word? Career progress or whatever, upgrade. I forget the word, but whatever. And the people who got the grant were happy and got the grant, moved on or whatever. But then like 5 years later, the people who just missed out on the grant actually ended up like coming back stronger just because they like didn't get the grant. They like that pushed them to work even harder. And then 5 years later, they're actually more successful than the people who did get the grant. I think based off of like income or something. But sometimes not hitting your goals, I guess the point of that is sometimes setting hard goals and not getting them can also be motivating as well.
Yeah, but in the same context of that Dylan just came from, if you set two...
Right, I think it was the fact that they almost got the grant.
Right.
That like they weren't so demoralized that they quit, but they knew that they were close, and so they kept going. It like
we've all been there, right? Where you've been really close to something, and just immediately after that thing's over, like you are completely motivated to like get back to whether it's the drawing board or the training grounds or whatever you want to, wherever you're getting back to the process again, right? Like you have a ton of motivation. But I'm sure you guys have been in the opposite situation where you've fallen so far short of a goal that it's just like, okay, well that was not even in the cards. So like I'm just gonna pick something. I'm gonna pick something different because like clearly that was not the right goal for me.
But instead of deciding how hard or how easy of a goal to set and then having to come back to the drawing board, it's like focusing on the habits is like skipping the middleman. You're just going right to the root of the problem.
Sure, but I think you still have to have something that you're working towards.
Yeah.
Otherwise, those little habits or processes are somewhat arbitrary in a sense.
But if you take the expectation off and your goal is to show up, if we're talking about racing, if your goal is to show up at the event and doing the absolute best that you can. That's always the goal. That's always the gold standard for yourself, is showing up and doing the best you can with what you have.
Yeah, that's what all of our goals are. We just hope we win when we do that. Like, I hope that when I show up to Unbound with optimal performance, I win. And I'm going to go, that's going to be the goal. So, I mean, to me, those two things are the same thing.
So, Caitlin, you're not necessarily saying that an athlete shouldn't have goals. You're just trying to de-emphasize the outcome aspect of goal setting.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because, like, if they don't have any goals, then how do you even know, like, what they're trying to accomplish? In which case, like, are you just generally building fitness for athletes?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like,
goals.
Yeah, if usually they want coaching because they want to do well at this event, or they want to do well over this season, or some people just want to show up and be the best version of themselves on the group ride. And I think across all those scenarios, the goal is still the same, to be the best version of you. And you know, you can break that down into process goals about like how much you want to improve your watts per kilo or whatever it may be, your critical power, whatever. But I think the focus needs to be then on just like betterment of yourself on a daily basis.
Sure.
So how can we? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, because you brought up something that I just want to tease out. So normally I wouldn't put like targeting a certain watt per kilo, or even having like stair step benchmarks of like, say, a watts per kilo. I wouldn't put that in a process goal. Like, that would be short term or intermediate goals, because those still have an outcome attached to them. And like short term, long term, those are like your outcome goals, because there's some kind of like performance metric attached to them. But like, what is it going to take to increase your FTP to 4.5 watts per kilo? Well, it's going to take 4 days a week for sure, minimum, of getting on the bike, and 2 days a week of doing structured intensity, and like making sure you're also like dialed on your nutrition, and maybe there's like some body composition goals attached to it. Oh, sounds like the dog's getting away. For those that are just listening, Caitlin just had to run off, and
it was like the funniest thing watching her decide, like, do I let the dog run away or do I stay on the podcast? It was pretty good.
Oh, she's back. So that's kind of like how I like the process goals are like what I think of as like the daily things that you're contributing to like help meet those intermediate or long-term goals.
Yeah, I agree. I like to think of things in the terms of effectiveness and efficiency. You know, some people get so caught up in efficiency that they lose track of where they're going in the first place. You know, like it doesn't matter how fast of a car you're in. If you don't even know where the final destination is, doesn't matter how fast the car goes or how short of a route you take to get there. But you've got to know where you're going. Like, to optimize anything, you've got to know what the end of the road, like what the primary goal is. So I agree with everything you're saying, Caitlin. But I think I hear what you're saying. Like, everybody always talks about goals, and it's overused, and you know, it's watered down. But just because that's the way our culture is, I still think it's good. Like, I think that people should set. Like, you kind of made a good point of like, everybody's goal is kind of the same, and you could just say it up in 2 words: get better. And I hate it when people write that as their goal when they sign up for coaching, because that is true, but it's not, you can't visualize that. And like, it's not a clear like image in your mind that, you know, when the weather sucks and you don't feel like training, just get better probably isn't going to motivate you to do the work. But, you know, having some more clear goals that you can envision, I think helps to motivate you along the way.